This Fear of God Nike bag came with some shoes, but the strap is a little bit too short. It's too close to my armpit. So I want to make it into an adjustable messenger bag. First, I'm going to put the zip in. Probably should have done this last, because putting the strap in ended up being quite difficult, but I was able to do it, so up to you. Here I'm lining up the zip tape with the edge of the top of the bag. Hem? You know what I mean, right? I'm gonna pin it in place. I've centered it. This first time around I put the pins in perpendicular because you can still sew if they are perpendicular to the direction you're sewing in. However, because the zip is quite bulky, it kind of bent my pins, so I think the second time around I did them parallel to the zip tape instead and just had to pause and take the pins out as I was sewing rather than sew over them. Also, just in case you can't tell, I am using a zip foot with the needle as far left as I can make it go. This makes it easier to sew closer to the zip, and as you can see now, I'm pulling the zip pull back because you can definitely not sew past that big bugger. I've only filmed sewing one side, but you get the idea. You just copy everything and then do the other side. Now I'm going to start the strap. The next step is kind of surprising. I am first burning the edges of the nylon strap. This is to keep it from fraying any further. It really only works on synthetic materials. If you try to do that to cotton, it won't work. It will just burn. And then I'm stitching a boxed X over the nylon, which I have folded under. The other side will need a metal ring, which I'm inserting here. I started by sewing the first part down, and then I'll tuck the other bit under in between the square. I'm gonna make the square X thing to hold it all down. One thing you'll have to be conscious of here is that sewing around that metal thing is really difficult. So I think you could use the zip foot if you wanted to try and get closer. I did really struggle. I think maybe I did change it at some point. However, another option is to make the nylon strap a little bit longer. That would have been much easier to sew, but I wanted it to be quite close. It's just a personal preference, really up to you, but it certainly would be easier to sew. As you can see on the zip pull side, it has proven quite difficult to sew the second part of the strap there. However, it was possible, totally doable, just a little bit annoying at times. And another little tip, if you haven't noticed, when I turn corners, I put the needle down, then I lift the presser foot and turn. This keeps my needle in place, because once you lift the presser foot up, it'll all move around. Okay, finishing this up here, now comes the tricky part, attaching the long part of the strap. As you can see here, it looks nice in that metal ring, but how do you get it there? First, I pull the long end of the nylon thread and I put it through one side to the other, skipping that rod in the middle, and pull through to make a big loop. One thing you don't want to forget here is you're gonna have to thread it through the other metal ring, as you see now, before you do the second part, which is push it through underneath the middle rod. This is kind of hard, but you can push it through, it'll work. Then you sew that little loop you've made from the middle rod together. Like the metal ring before, this is also quite hard to sew, and unless you want a really big gapey loop, it is best to sew this one close together, but it's very hard. And now, after about maybe an hour or less of sewing, we have a messenger bag. Check it out.